Hey, so amazing. You see how they playing? Live wire, it's all about sports and entertainment. You don't want to miss it, so official like you never seen. Keep it going till the whistle blowing from the referee. Everything from highlights and stats. You know that we gotta run it back, whether on the field or the court. You know that this is where it's at. Subscribe, no delaying. This is Live Wire, sports and entertainment. Let's go.
All right, what's good, everyone? Welcome to another edition of Live Wire Sports Media. This is your Motivational Monday edition. If I'm sounding a little bit normal today because it's Monday, you know how that is. It's the beginning of the work week, and you know we have to get up, get the ball rolling. So, anyway, now, I came across something last night that I thought that, I couldn't believe it, to be honest with you. I didn't thought about it, to be honest with you. I didn't thought about it at all. I really didn't think about it at all. And when it was actually broke down and I looked into it a little bit more, and I was like, have you ever watched a Arsenio's Hall show back in the day? So that's what I had, one of them moments. So shout out to Quitter Love Sports, who does an excellent job in her content. You know, she covers the WNBA along with the Chicago Sky and everything like that. And she made something. She said nobody talked about this. And being honest, I haven't heard nobody talk about it. She's the first person I really heard talk about it. So shout out to her on that too. Sue Bird. Think about it. Sue Bird. With the WNBA CBA negotiations going on right now, Sue Bird, she's a majority owner of the Seattle Storm. Sadly, but Nneka Umake, well, she's a free agent now, but she's a member of the Seattle Storm, and she's the president of the Players Union. Now, you would think, hey, Livewire, what are you talking about? Well, have we talked about conflict of interest during this time with Nafisha Collier, Breanna Stewart, you know, playing in the WNBA, vice president of the player union, and running another league? Conflicts of interest. So why would Sue Bird, who's a minority owner, have conversations about CBA negotiations with Nneka Umake, who she had on her show last week? She also had Nafisha Collier on her show. She also had Breanna Stewart on her show. Why would she have these kind of conversations knowing that she is part owner of a team? That is direct conflict of interest. Now, some people say, hey, it's not a big deal. Well, it just goes to show you how messed up the WNBA is, because I would never have my majority owner discussing or talking or even having a podcast discussing information with another player. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm gonna pull up Quitter stuff and let her talk about it real quick. And it's very, very interesting.
Leading this interview with Nneka Umake, because Sue Bird, if you don't know, is a legacy WNBA player. Like she was in the WNBA for a long time, played her entire career with the Seattle Storm. She was involved in the previous CBA negotiations. Also, full disclosure, guys, if you don't know, Sue Bird is actually on the ownership group for the Seattle Storm. And so, yeah, she is a team owner, right? She doesn't have a majority stake, but like a minority stake in the Seattle Storm. So she's a team owner, full disclosure. Also, Sue Bird is going to be the person who's deciding which players actually make it on for USA basketball for the next Olympics.
Now, that part is interesting. She's got her hand in everything right now. If you listen, she's a minority owner of the Seattle Storm. Plus, she's on the selection committee of Team USA that was announced early this year as well. Continue on.
She is the managing director, I believe, of USA basketball for the women's side. And so she's going to be determining rosters and whatnot. And so, yeah, so Sue Bird does have a very interesting role in this, right? She's a part owner, so there's stuff that she can't say. She is the managing director of Team USA. Also, she has, I think, several media companies, right? I know her and Megan have Touch More, which is a production company. She has Bird's Eye View, which is her podcast that's like specifically her and basketball, right? She is a co-owner of Together, who now has just added Angel Reese as a co-owner of, and absolutely touches a lot when it comes to conversations with women's basketball players and yada, yada, yada. Basically, what I am saying is Sue Bird has her arms in basically everything that the WNBA touches.
Now, with that being said, she just said that Sue Bird has her hand in everything. She has her own production company. She just co-founded Together, which Angel Reese is, I think, a majority owner of that. She's have all these relationships. She has a podcast, Bird's Eye View. Then she has a podcast with her wife, A Touch More, and she brings all these players on there. And she brings up conversations about the CBA, which she's a minority owner of Seattle Storm, which she should not be discussing that. That, to me, is directly conflict of interest. Now, some people say, well, it's not really a conflict of interest because she's bringing on it. She's not involved in it, but you gathering information. When you gather some kind of information or some kind of insight or knowledge, when you talk to these players, because guess what? Once the lights and cameras goes off and the microphone is turned off, you having talks with these people with nobody around or in y'all little meetings. So she's gaining firsthand inside knowledge of the CBA, the current CBA deal that's going on. Because like I said, Nneka Umake, she's the president. She should not be on there talking to another owner about what's going on with the CBA deal. Because if she's a majority owner, she already should have clear-cut knowledge from the ownership side of how the CBA deal is going. Because guess what? What if she's taking information from the owners and passing it along to the Fisher Collier and Breonna Stewart and Nneka Umake? You know what I'm saying? And same as Nneka. That's conflict of interest. You cannot have that going on. And this is why the people have frowned on the WNBA, because of these uncanny relationships that they have here. Because me personally, Sue Bird was a part of the 2019 CBA. She was a vice president over there. Her and Nneka was over there. And she was an integral part of getting that deal done. I would never, ever bring her in knowing that she has these kind of relationships with these people, especially she's a UConn alum. That just, to me, it doesn't sit well with me. And it makes no sense.
Or that WNBA players touch, right? She, on the production side, on the media side, she owns a company that is highlighting WNBA players, right? That's paying WNBA players to do stuff and creating shows and all that good stuff. Remember, guys, the show that Teresa Plessance and Sydney Colson have, it's on Together, which is owned by Sue Bird. So like Sue Bird is also like hiring WNBA players to do stuff, right?
Now, me personally, I don't have no problem with her giving platforms to WNBA players from her own company. You know what I'm saying? That's her own company. She very much well could hire WN players or have them create podcasts and have it on there. To me, that doesn't bother me. It's just her direct connection with her being a owner of a team and having these CBA talks with player union reps. That part right there, I don't get. I don't understand because me personally, if I was Adam Silver or Kathy Engelberg, I would have to look deep into that and say, hey, you can't not interview or nobody. If you're going to be an owner, you cannot, or you're going to stay owner of this team. Or the owner, the full owner of it say, hey, you need to now they now again though, the owner probably say, hey, once you go down there, interview them, gain some insight. It could be always a ploy to it too. He probably say, hey Sue, you got connections with them. Go down there, pick their head, see which information you could do to help us, and they could probably proposition and say, hey, if you still want to be a minority owner or a bigger part of this, find out information that could help us in these CBA deals. So it could go either way. It could be bad in a sense, and it could be good for the owners in another sense too. But I still feel a conflict of interest in her having all of this hidden power that she's had through. I mean, she's subverted. I mean, if I feel like at some point in time they might try to push her to be the commissioner. I mean, she has all of this inside power. She's, on Olympics. She has all these companies, ownership. I mean, what else she probably can't do? Be a commissioner of the league? That will really, to me, I think that would be the worst thing that you could ever do is have her the commissioner of the league and have her all of these relationships. This league will be messed up big time. If it's already messed up now, it would be worse if she was become a commissioner of the league.
And so she's doing that. She's a co-owner of the Seattle Storm. So there's some stuff that she can't say, right?
Supposedly.
And she is now going to be selecting the players on the Team USA. So the reason why I'm mentioning all of that is to say that Nneka Ogwumike, yes, is talking to a former player, but she's talking to a former player who has involvement in everything. And so do I think that there is a conflict of interest there? Yes, absolutely, which is why I'm acknowledging it. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. Yes, there is a conflict of interest. Yes. You're a team owner, but you're hiring players who are not on your team to do stuff for your other company, and you are selecting the future of the U.S. National team, which in a lot of ways is very much tied to the WNBA, and so it's a whole thing. But it is what it is. It is what it is.
Now, it's a mess. It's a complete mess. Now, Quetta said, "Is what it is." But is it? Why should it be? Is what it is? Shouldn't be, because the fact of the matter is, it's a bad situation. It's like they have this grand scheme of everything going on around, from a rival feed press conference. Now all of a sudden Sue Bird is out here drumming up podcasts to be talking to members of the player association, trying to gain insight. Now, yeah, she can't publicly come out and say anything because she is an owner, but I guarantee you, like I said before, once that mic and them cameras go off, she's having these discussions behind closed doors. Whether she's gaining their trust to use information against them to get the CBA deal for the owners, or she's have another stake or position for where she can do anything, or they trying to get more leverage on Kathy Engelberg. It's a twofold to everything. I just think it's a bad situation. And I just think that, to me, this is how I feel about it. I think the league needs a whole reset. Remove all of them. All of them. Have a hard reset from this league. Take the players that came in 2022, some of the players that's there now, remove some of these problematic people, all of these ties, and move them on and start this league fresh. Because this right here is a whole pot of mess that should not even be taking place right here. That's like the situation where we was talking about Tom Brady. He's a broadcaster. He's in the meetings with the Raiders and stuff like that. Because he's a minority owner as well, but he gets to call games. You know what I'm saying? And it seemed like a conflict of interest there. That's like having somebody from the Indiana Fever, Kelly Crisscross, sitting down with Neka Umake to gain insight. That just don't happen like that. It just don't make sense to me to have that kind of leadway or inside information as much. Like I said though, but any type they work. So I'm gonna go ahead with this a little bit more, and then I'm going to show you some other stuff real quick.
Right. Tisha says, to be fair, women's basketball is a niche interest group. You aren't going to find anyone worth their salt and knowledgeable enough that does not have a potential conflict of interest, so you have to deal with it. I mean, yeah, facts. Yeah.
To me, I disagree with that. You don't have to deal with it. The only reason why you're dealing with it because they're allowing it to happen. If they wasn't allowing this to happen, it would have never been an issue anyway. You know what I'm saying? It just would never been an issue anyway. So they just allowing this stuff to happen because the fact of the matter is they could do that. They could do that. They could allow that to happen, and guess what? No problem whatsoever. So right here, overall, it says as a former player, as a former WNBA Players Union leader and now a team owner, Sue Bird faces potential conflict of interest with the WNBA collective bargaining agreement right now. Her unique position puts her on both sides of the negotiation table, creating tension between owners, financial interests, and players' demand for better pay and conditions. And that's what I just said a few minutes ago, because she could play both sides of the coin. She could gather information from the Players Association and take it back to the owners, or she could gather information and what these owners thinking and take it back to the Player Association. So when, hey, I could call an official call on the phone and say, hey, this is what they're thinking. This is what you need to do to stand 10 toes down on this in here. And then these players start acting funny and different, because then you got somebody that's a snitch in the house, a rat in the house, whatever the case would be. If this was some kind of mob thing, she would have been they would have been took care of her because they couldn't trust her. Now, the owner player divide in the CBA negotiation. The central conflict arises from the opposing goal of players and owners during the CBA talks, especially when the current CBA expires at the end of the month. Owners prioritize profitability. Owners seek a profitable league by managing costs and secure largest possible share of the league's revenue. While many WNBA teams are increasing value, owners are not inclined to give away a large percentage of profit than necessarily. Anyway, so that's pretty much that. Like, that just some of the stuff that's going on right now with the CBA. But down here at the bottom, this is where I want to get down here with Sue Bird. It said her off-court ventures, which was discussed earlier in the video. Bird co-owns the woman-focused media group Together, which features and pay active players, and a production company with her partner, Megan Rapinoe, called A Touch More. These businesses rely on WNBA players and its players to create content and profit, yet Bird's role as a owner means she has insight into the CBA negotiations that could affect players she also employs. So, see, that's just another thing right there, guys. Another thing right there. Because why would she be allowed to have this kind of access to these players, especially some of these players are players rep for the team, and she giving podcasts to them, employing them to pay them, but kind of like exchange for information. If it comes down to that, I don't get it, man. I just think that WNBA has a huge Sue Bird problem because she has a hand in too many things that is pretty much going to rear its head eventually down the line, somewhere down the line, unless this new collective bargaining agreement they get done takes a shift, so we see. But anyway, let me know what your thoughts. Do the WNBA have a Sue Bird problem? Does Sue Bird have too many hands in the pot to be around the WNBA players? Is she using that for good, bad, or indifferent? Who knows? Let me know what you think. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. It's Monday motivation for y'all people. Until the next ep, I'm out.
Hey, so amazing. You see how they playing? Live wire. It's all about sports and entertainment. You don't want to miss it. So official, like you never seen. Keep it going till the whistle blowing from the referee. Everything from highlights and stats. You know that we gotta run it back, whether on the field or the court. You know that this is where it's at. Subscribe, no delaying. This is Live Wire. Sports and entertainment.